Jodie Foster, the immortal spirit of American cinema. A woman whose courage, intelligence, and grace transformed her from a child prodigy into one of Hollywood's most enduring legends. The girl who stunned the world in Taxi Driver, who silenced audiences in The Silence of the Lambs, and who became a two-time Academy Award winner before turning 30. But behind the golden trophies and red carpets lies a far deeper story, one of loneliness, fear, and survival. The life of Jodie Foster is not a fairy tale of fame. It is a journey through storms that would have broken most people. And yet, she never bowed. Her story began not in privilege, but in absence. Born on the 19th of November 1962 in Los Angeles, Alicia Christian Foster entered a home filled with silence and struggle. Her father, Lucius Foster, a decorated Air Force colonel turned real estate broker, left before she was even born. Her mother, Evelyn Brandy Foster, was left alone to raise 4 children. There was no luxury, no silver spoon, only determination. Brandy taught her children to think, to fight, to dream. From the beginning, Jodie stood apart. She spoke in full sentences before her first birthday, taught herself to read at 3, and devoured books by 4. Her brilliance was undeniable, and so was her burden. By the time she was 3, she was no longer just a child. She was the family's provider. At just 3 years old, Jodie appeared in her first commercial, a sunny, smiling face selling sunscreen. The image was cute. The truth was cruel. She was working to keep her family afloat. By 5, she was acting on television. By 13, she had appeared in more than 50 shows, juggling scripts instead of toys. Producers praised her professionalism, but that discipline was really survival. Years later, she would say quietly, "I never really had a childhood. I was working before I even knew what play meant." It was not ambition that drove her, it was necessity. Hollywood pushed her hard. During the filming of Napoleon and Samantha in 1972, she was injured by a trained lion, an accident that left her shaken and bruised. 3 days later, she was back on set, smiling for the cameras. Then, while filming Tom Sawyer, she broke her wrist during a stunt. She kept acting, hiding the pain behind her eyes. Even at that age, she understood what Hollywood demanded: the show must go on. But nothing could prepare her for what came next. In 1976, at just 13, she took on the role of Iris in Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. It was a dark, demanding story, and Jodie's role pushed the boundaries of what any child should face. Psychologists were brought in to evaluate her. Her sister, Connie, acted as her double in the most sensitive scenes. Yet even with those protections, the emotional toll was immense. Years later, she confessed that the hardest part wasn't the script, it was the costumes. "I used to hold back tears," she admitted. "I just wanted to go home." But the world saw only brilliance. Taxi Driver made her a star and earned her first Academy Award nomination. Beneath the applause, however, Jodie carried scars that no one could see. After Taxi Driver, she continued to rise. But fame came with a darkness she never expected. In 1981, when a disturbed man obsessed with her attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan, Jodie's life changed forever. Though she had no connection to the act, she was thrust into a storm of headlines, scrutiny, and fear. At Yale University, she lived under FBI protection. Agents guarded her dorm, her phone was tapped for safety, and windows were reinforced. She once admitted that she nearly quit school 17 times that year, crushed by anxiety. On stage, even small noises made her flinch. One night, a security scare during a performance terrified her so deeply that she stayed away from theater for the next 40 years. After graduating magna cum laude from Yale in 1985, Hollywood turned its back. Casting directors called her unmarketable. 63 auditions brought nothing, but she didn't give up. Therapy became her lifeline. And then, in 1988, came the role that would change everything, The Accused. The film was raw, uncomfortable, and powerful. She poured her entire being into it. Every fear, every wound, every memory. And when she won the Academy Award at just 26, her voice trembled as she said, "It's not just about winning. It's about being allowed to exist again." 2 years later, she conquered the screen once more, as Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs. The performance redefined cinematic heroism and earned her Oscar #2. Yet, even amid triumph, she felt the weight of everything she'd endured. Every role was carved from the same place. Pain transformed into art. In 1993, she met Sidney Bernard, a quiet, kind production coordinator. What grew between them was not the glittering kind of love the tabloids crave. It was real, private, and healing. Together, they built a home filled with warmth and laughter. Their sons, Charlie, 1998, and Kit, 2001, became the center of her universe. To protect them, Jodie went to extraordinary lengths: private schools, secret hospital names, even contracts to keep paparazzi away. But love kept in silence eventually suffocates. After 14 years, they parted ways. There was no scandal, only heartbreak and respect. "We were a family," she later said softly. "That was all that mattered." In 2013, standing before the world at the Golden Globes, Jodie accepted the Cecil B. DeMille Award. Her voice trembled, but her words were electric. "I already did my coming out 1,000 years ago," she said. "If you had to fight for a life that felt real, maybe you'd value privacy too." The audience rose in thunderous applause. For the first time, Jodie Foster stood in her truth unhidden, unafraid. A year later, she found peace again. This time with Alexandra Hedison, an artist and photographer. They married quietly in 2014. No publicity, no spectacle. Just two women who had finally found home in each other. Their house in Beverly Hills became a sanctuary filled with art, sunlight, and laughter. With Alexandra, Jodie found what she had always longed for. Not fame, not applause, but peace. In 2019, tragedy struck again. Her beloved mother, Brandy, the woman who had protected her through every storm, passed away after years of dementia. "It was like losing her twice," Jodie confessed. "First to the illness, and then forever." The woman who once whispered lines behind the camera, who kept her grounded amid fame, was gone. The grief was quiet, but endless. "I miss her," she said softly, "in ways I can't put into words." Now, at 62, Jodie Foster stands as one of the last true legends of cinema, not because of fame, but because of integrity. Her net worth exceeds $100 million. But her real wealth is her peace. Her mornings begin with coffee and sunlight. Her evenings end with her wife and sons around the dinner table. She no longer chases relevance, she defines it. Her performances in The Mauritanian, 2021, Naiad, 2023, and True Detective, Night Country, 2024, have earned her new awards, proving that greatness doesn't fade with age, it deepens. And still, she gives quietly to children's charities, LGBTQ+ advocacy, and health causes, never for headlines, always from the heart. Jodie Foster's story is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about a girl who grew up too soon, a woman who faced fear and loss, and still found her way to love and peace. Her 2 Oscars, her Emmy, her Golden Globes, they're symbols. But her greatest role isn't Clarice Starling or Iris. It's Jodie Foster herself, unbroken, unbowed, and finally, unafraid to be real. Because true greatness isn't about escaping the storm. It's about learning to stand with grace in the rain.